good Easter Sunday morning. We hope you and your family have a good Easter all day today. Appreciate you being with us today. You've heard us say before that we've got a jam-packed show, nothing like we're going to have today. We're going to talk about Cuonzo Martin's exit. We're going to talk about some Bruce Pearl comments. We're going to talk about a lot of job candidates, and we're going to update you on the search, and we're going to talk about Michael White. All of that starts with this first segment brought to you by our good friends at Nova Copy. They can help businesses of all size all across East Tennessee, from Middlesboro down to Athens, from Crossville to the Carolina line. Nova Copy will provide your business with a free cost analysis of your company's workflow. And what they'll do, they'll show you how they can save money. Nova Copy, a tremendous business to help your business. And we appreciate them here on the Sports Source because they're not going to be happy to know that I had to cover their sign on our whiteboard today. Benny Malakote and crew, I'm sorry. All right, here are the guys on the panel. Jimmy Himes from the Sports Animal. Bob Hodge, freelance contributor to the Knoxville News Sentinel. Mike Strange from the Knoxville News Sentinel. Chuck Cavaleris from his global empire.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Golf News for Tennessee is one portion of that empire. Search update, first of all. Michael White, talked to on Thursday, it seems, by Tennessee. Apparently talked to him again yesterday because everyone and their brother was reporting last night that Michael White had kind of moved to the top of Tennessee's list. Michael White, of course, from Louisiana Tech, 3 years experience. We will break him down in detail as this show goes on. I want to do this in chronological order just to keep it in some semblance of order, if we can. So let's begin. We'll have more on the search update a little bit later. But let's begin with what happened to set up this search. Who gets the blame for things falling apart between Cuonzo Martin and the University of Tennessee? Is it Martin for not engaging the fans? Is it a vocal minority of fans for taking the action on their own? Is it Dave Hart? Is it the media? What's the issue?
I put it squarely at the doorstep of the UT administration and probably Dave Hart. When a coach gets to the Sweet 16 and you say we'll talk in due time, and then when it's time to talk about the contract, and the buyout is setting you up to fail and get fired next year, I don't see how you could really do anything else but say this is the end of it.
Okay, Mike?
I think there's, as usual, there's some of both. There's administration for the reasons Chuck said, and it didn't help that nobody from UT ever spoke up and said, "Hey, we're not hiring Bruce Pearl. Forget your petition." So you got the administration, you got the fans, and some Cuonzo too.
Could have reached out. Could have been more of a salesman.
Could have embraced it a little more, I think.
Okay.
I'm going to go along with what Mike said. I think that you had a little bit of Cuonzo in there because he didn't reach out. He wasn't more of a community guy.
Well, let me stop you there. There's a lot of talk that he didn't do anything in the community. He didn't call the newspaper to bring a camera down everywhere. Like the previous coach. He did a lot of charity stuff in this town.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
But
I mean, it was behind the scenes stuff. I'm going to go a little bit heavier on the fans. Chuck's point about the administration is great, but I tell you what, the fans never. It was negative when he came, and it stayed negative the first year he didn't make the NCAA tournament, and I think that set the table for it to just not get any better in his first year.
I think the thing about the community, it'd be maybe more accurate to say he didn't promote his program the way Bruce Pearl did. Yeah. And I think that's fair. I don't think he felt like that's part of his job description. The thing that threw me off is when you have an agreement, and maybe I should have paid more attention to being April 1st, but when you've got two people coming out saying he's our coach. So I asked Cuonzo, I said, what did y'all agree on? He said, we just agreed I was coming back. No numbers? No. He said, I expected a fair contract. Now, he wouldn't answer about the fair contract, but I can tell you I feel with great confidence that the buyout was the issue. And I'd been told that's why he did not sign it that next week, and it would lingered on. And I think, to Chuck's point, I think that $1 million buyout, he felt like that's not acceptable because you can fire me next year, and so I think that was a big part of the issue.
Okay, I want to show you some comments that Cuonzo Martin made. He was on with you guys on 99.1. The quotes I took were when he was with Howler and Hill from 98.7, same day, but here we go. He said, the one thing I wanted to make clear and understood, his leaving had nothing to do with any petition. I just really felt like it was the best for both parties. In order for the University of Tennessee, the fan base, to get what they need, what they're both looking for, it was probably time to make a change. The people who really supported what we were doing were all in. They were great for the most part, meaning those who didn't buy in. My question, just very quickly, yay or nay, does anybody believe Cuonzo Martin when he says that the petition didn't play a role?
No.
No, and I think part of the reason it didn't is because I think he wanted support from the administration to come out and say something in support of him, and it didn't happen.
And you said it affected recruiting.
Yes.
Chuck, you agree?
I don't think it affected him to a big extent because I think he's got a pretty thick skin and he's been through a lot of things. I think he felt like that something should have been said and it affected those around him.
It affected his program.
Yes,
And-
and,
his
that's
family.
what bothered him.
I thought it was interesting. Dave Hart seemed very understanding in his press conference. He mentioned the fact that it was a tough year for Conzo and Roberta, his wife. He mentioned that sometimes fan passion can be misdirected. Were you surprised that Dave Hart made some of the comments he did? It was not a cold comment. He sounded like he might not have been my coach, but it was pretty rough on him. I thought he had more heart in that comment. Were you guys surprised?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. You rarely hear an athletic director when his coach leaves like that say those things. And so I think it was surprising.
I would agree with Bob, and I thought he was pretty forthcoming in the comments he made. He went into more detail than I thought he would because he's so close to, he plays everything so close to the vest. So that surprised me a little bit that he wasn't talkative.
I thought it was interesting too that you mentioned the fan stuff and it can be misdirected. You know, there are a lot of people. The people who signed the petition say no one understands this. But the fact that from the AD to national media to local media to the biggest chunk of the fan base is saying that was wrong, maybe that should tell you something. Maybe that should tell you something. Guys, I want to ask you, how good of a coach was Conzo Martin really?
I think he was a pretty good coach. Not a great coach, but a pretty good coach. I really respect the way I really respect the way his team responded to him this year.
Okay.
Well, they responded in the last month.
Which they did at every
Yes.
team he's coached for the last 4 years have done that.
I mean, what you would say above average, maybe a B. But
C plus or B minus.
Yeah, you couldn't go much higher than that. And some of the things, he was making adjustments. He was only in the 6th year as a head coach.
Right.
To say we'll never play zone or we're not going to play zone. And then finally this year, the 1-3-1 helped them a lot. There were just certain adjustments I think he needed to make that he was slow to
He
make.
had the third highest SEC winning percentage behind Calipari and Donovan.
I think that's better than a C plus or I would
think
say it's a straight B.
I don't see a way you can say that that's not pretty good.
I think he
him a
was a
B.
good coach with the potential to be better
Yeah.
And you're not going
because
to
he was only in his 6th year.
and they were not going to give him a chance. That's the thing. I would like to see what Bruce Pearl was like in his 6th season if he was willing to change his system and stuff. I don't know. We'll never know about Conzo Martin unless we start watching California, which I don't intend to do. Let me go ahead. In an effort to be fair, though, there are a couple of things that I'm tired of hearing. Now we're going to give you some facts. These are facts instead of spin, facts. First one, I keep hearing that Tennessee underachieved, and we'll talk about Bruce Pearl popping his bill a little bit later. But you see there are your preseason ranks according to the coaches poll. Kentucky ranked a heck of a lot higher than Tennessee. Their SEC records, Kentucky finished all of one game. Now, if you're asking me who was more underachieving, I don't hear anybody talking about it, but that Kentucky regular season was more underachieving. You see who they lost to. Tennessee had the 2 bad ones that were close to A&M. Kentucky had the horrible one at South Carolina. They both got exactly where people thought they would in the NCAA tournament. And postseason ranked, Tennessee finished ranked higher than Kentucky. So let's stop with this backspin. Well, the regular season was disappointing. So was Kentucky's. Okay. The next one I'm tired of seeing is nitpicking the tournament run. Well, he only had to play UMass and Mercer. I don't remember a lot of that when Bruce Pearl went to the Elite Eight. Melvin Goins had to hit a last-second shot to beat 11 seed San Diego State. Georgetown was upset by 14 seed Ohio. Tennessee got that benefit. Knocked out Ohio State in their 3rd game, best win in the run, lost by a point to Michigan State. Average seed in that run, 8. Average seed in Tennessee's run this past year, 8.25. All right, now look, you don't like Conzo Martin, that's fine, he's gone, but I'm tired of hearing these arguments because it is spin. Those are facts. If you got facts, back it up. You can't because you're spinning. When we come back, we're going to talk about Bruce Pearl and some other stuff. This show is packed. Come on back. You'll like the next stuff. Come on.